Welcome back to the Nonprofit Network. I'm Gabriel Buelna, and this is our show, I Have Something to Say. We're lucky we're going to be doing two segments with someone that some of you have seen recently, or maybe a lot of you have seen over the years. But I was extremely proud that on August 9th, Felipe Esparza, who I have here today, won the last comic standing. And I could say he won $250,000, and hopefully he'll give me at least 1% of that. Felipe, can I have 1% of the 250,000?
All right. How much is that?
How much is that? Oh, that's $25,000.
We got to fight with my agent over that.
All right. I'll do that. Felipe, I watched the show, and I have to say, part of it was you were on. I first saw it, and I didn't really think they were funny. A lot of the comics were funny, and I'm going to ask your comment. The other day on another channel, they were doing a show on food trucks, and if you're in LA, you call them taco trucks, and I found that there wasn't one Latino in those taco trucks that they were doing a movie on food trucks. Then I see a Mexican American on the last comic standing, and at first I have to say, and I apologize for this, I thought, is he gonna win? You know, and I thought to myself, you know, the judges really didn't seem to like you. Did you get a sense that they didn't like you?
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were saying because their vote kind of didn't really count.
Oh, so you really, you paid attention to the fact that you weren't focusing on them.
No, Greg Geraldo, I could tell right away, he loved me right away.
Okay.
And Andy Kindler, I won him over, and the girl in the middle, which I've known forever, I wasn't really listening to her. What was her name, Nancy?
I have no idea, but she was aggressive towards
Natasha
you.
Leggero.
Yeah. You know, she was like, Felipe, and the way you're dressed, and I thought to myself, wow, she's pretty mean to our guy.
But it helped my advantage too, because it showed America how this guy's really an underdog. And the more she pressed on, the more people were coming to Felipe's world.
Now, in terms of Felipe's world, the day you won last comic standing, were you how shocked were you on the minute that you won? In fact, we'll show the picture, but I have your picture here that of the second that you won. What were you thinking that second that you won?
I don't know. I was just shocked that I won. It was finally over, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was an out-of-body experience, I guess.
Was it? How long did it take you to maybe really truly believe the fact that you really won?
I don't know. When I was standing there, I could feel Roy Woods Jr., the other comedian, tapping my shoulder, congratulations, and Tommy tapping my back, but I didn't feel it. And then finally, when I saw the confetti, that kind of woke me up. It was like a cannon.
You know, let's go back to, recently you had Miss Mexico win the Miss Universe pageant. And, as Latinos, we don't see a lot of others. I think George Lopez said, oh, there's 2% of Latinos on TV, and once I'm not here, that 2%'s gone. Did you have a sense, and I hear other Latinos, I remember when they thought, wow, Felipe's funny, but he's not going to win. And I think sometimes you get Latinos who sense of wow, we're not going to be allowed to win. Did you have a sense of that you could win going in?
Well, I knew going in that I was funny, and that really had a lot to do with it. And I knew that once the crowd, America, would finally see my stand-up comedy, they would embrace it and like it.
So would you say you went in with the fighting attitude of, you know what, whether you like me or not, accept me, and I mean, that's the attitude you went in with?
Yeah, I went in there with the attitude of my jokes are funny enough for all of America to laugh, not just my neighborhood.
Now, let's get into the edginess of your jokes. Did you hold back on the edge? I've seen you live, and when I saw you in Last Comic Standing, I thought to myself, you know what? He's not using some of his edgy material. Was it for the censors?
I think because the show was starting at 9 o'clock, and I was kind of keeping it like real clean. And then when I finally the show went on to 10 o'clock, that's when I could be more edgy. Like my last show was more edgier than the other shows.
Okay. So I mean, was it? How did you choose some of the jokes to going in there?
I don't know, like
What would have went in that you could tell us right now?
what wouldn't went in.
Yeah. What might have gone in but you kept out?
I had a joke. Actually, every joke that I would write every week 3 minutes of material on paper, and I would turn it into NBC for approval,
Uh huh.
and then they have to approve it.
Okay. So you went through some censors.
Yeah, a lot of them. Only one song, one joke that didn't get accepted was I play so much Guitar Hero, I forgot the words to the songs.
Okay.
So now when I hear my song, I don't hear the words, I just know what color to press.
Oh, okay.
So I couldn't say Iron Man from Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
and I couldn't sing the song.
Oh, okay.
Because normally I say, that's my song. Green, green, yellow, blue and red together, orange. So I couldn't say it like that. I had to say it, red, green, orange together, and that's it.
Oh, okay. So that one you would put in. You know, the profession of comedy is difficult, like a lot of other professions. If you're a doctor, an attorney, how long did it take you to reach the success you've been experiencing?
16 years.
16 years. At what age did you start?
I started like when I was 24 or 25 years old.
Now, did anyone, you know, while you were in comedy, because you know you always hear about comedians taking each other's jokes. Has anyone taken your jokes?
I don't know, though. I'm pretty sure after winning Last Comic Standing, someone doing my jokes now somewhere.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that someone's taking it or try to change it around. Like some people change your jokes around, some comedians, like I know a comedian that had his own television show, and a lot of his jokes were taken from other comedians.
Right.
He thought that people were not gonna find out, but the internet made everything possible.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now, how are you using the internet?
I met my daughter on MySpace.
Okay.
I really didn't meet her. I added her as a friend. She leaves comments. We didn't get to check. I sent her a message. I love you, but I'm gonna block you.
Okay.
I use the internet for social networking.
What's your website?
www.felipesworld.com. FELIPES world.com. You know, you say you're speaking edgy. I had a couple of jokes on Last Comic Standing that the stuff that I talked about on stage, on television I'm the only one. You heard it here first. I was the only comedian to make jokes about Arizona during the Arizona immigration law.
Right.
And I did it on NBC. No one else did it. I'm the only one. I said, the Arizona law is scary, but if I get deported, which will be my mistake,
Okay.
I'll say the same thing I say when I get kicked out of a club. But sir, I was already in there. My friends are already in there. They still have my credit cards.
Now, let me ask you on a serious note. After I have to recover, 'cause that was
Yeah.
pretty good. What is your thought on the Arizona law?
Well, it's tough to say that because I live in California, the safety zone.
Okay. I mean, let me ask you. I was going to ask you later, but I'll ask you now. Any thoughts, you know, on the mosque that's being built in New York City? Have you had that? Should that mosque be?
You know, if you're gonna start complaining about a mosque being built right next to the Twin Tower where they used to be, why stop there? You know, why not complain about a McDonald's being built across the street from the gym, or they're selling marijuana next door, next to the rehab. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why not focus on those things? You know, everybody talks about the First Amendment, but only when it affects you.
Okay.
Like if it's not affecting me, I don't care about the First Amendment.
Right. Part of your success is that you're not afraid about bringing up the issue of being Mexican and being poor. Many would shy away from that. Why have you not shied away from happily identifying yourself with the roots of growing up poor? You grew up Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in the housing projects of Pico Gardens, Aliso Village, and Pico Aliso. The reason I don't shine about being Mexican is because look at me. I'm not a güero. I'm not light-skinned like you. It'd be hard for me to say that I'm not Mexican because I don't have to hold a tamal in my hand. People know it when they see me. They know I'm Mexican because
Or
when
nopal.
nopal. They know when they see me check out their lady with them holding her hand that I'm Mexican.
Now, growing up in the projects, it's a tough neighborhood. I mean, correct?
It was a tough neighborhood, man. One time the burglars broke into our house and they couldn't find nothing to steal. So they woke us up to make fun of us.
All
The
right.
police showed up. They made fun of us too. They said, look, they took everything here.
Now-
I said, yeah, they got my sister pregnant again. Look at her, she's 5 months.
So,
They took my dad too.
now, comedy in the neighborhood. Were you funny growing up?
Man, if you don't know how to fight in my neighborhood, you better be funny or learn how to hang out with thieves. Like I used to make fun of people's moms. That's my thing. Like if
How'd you
I
get
know
away
you
with that?
easily, man. There's so many people laughing at you. What can you do? Start crying.
So, let's let's talk about the. You're gonna have to come out with the book, Felipe.
Yeah.
When's the book coming out?
See, I don't know, man.
All right, now let's.
Waiting for Oprah. Give me a deal.
Now, growing up, I mean, you grew up in what's probably called. Well, you had Pico Aliso. You had Pico Aliso. You had
Pico Gardens.
Pico Gardens. You had the concentration, probably, of the biggest housing projects in the city of Los Angeles.
It's huge, man.
So in growing up in that environment, does that play a part in the core of your comedy?
Yeah, it does a lot. Because I have so many things to pick from, you know. My environment was so vast. That's a good word. And we have Vietnamese in my neighborhood. I mean, we have 2 white people in our neighborhood, just 2, Mr. West and Lou Hazen. And there was somebody on the other side too. But there was so many to pick from because when I first got there was mostly blacks, and when I left, it was all Latino.
So, when what high school did you go to?
I went to Roosevelt High School.
And have you gone back there and interacted with a lot of the youth there? And
I went back once to Roosevelt High School to pick up my sister from school.
okay.
But I did a show there once. I don't remember for what it was, but it was at the high school gym.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, when I first started doing comedy, 2 years into comedy, I did Red Ribbon Week in Coachella.
All right. So, in the next episode, Felipe, which hopefully you'll stick around, don't go anywhere. We're gonna have the immigration out
All right.
there. All right. The Arizona Janet Brewer from Arizona is going to be here if you leave. In the next episode, we're going to ask Felipe, what is his responsibility? Does he feel he has a responsibility as a Latino comic in promoting and assisting others in that environment? Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.